Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Greg with you as always, the painter servant on the grindstone. Before we start, can't do this without doing the shameless plugs as usual. So, if it's your first time coming by and watching the channel, welcome. This is Greg. You could follow me on all kinds of social media. Just scan that QR code that is located at the top right corner. You can figure out what I'm all about and just kind of sort of browse a little bit. Used to be part of the Commander format panel. I'm no longer. That's all good, but I can still be found on any number of different social media platforms. Of course, you're here because it's Twitch, and if you want to check out any of my Commander decks via Moxfield, that's where I store all my deck lists. And I'll talk about the next two things momentarily, but if you are purchasing singles on TCG Player, do not forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link, which is going to be posted in the chat. Welcome. Okay, as I mentioned before, I was about to talk about this. Sublime MTG Altars, where you could find my wife and her sister and all the hand-painted artwork that they do. As a matter of fact, we are going to be talking about a set of altars that Michiko had just completed. And if you like what you see, that's great. Shoot us a note. You can locate us on any number of other social media platforms, again, with the same name, Sublime MTG Altars. And scan that QR code. Okay. Further, we'd like to talk a little bit about the other community that I'm heavily involved with, which is the Alliance of Military Magic Players. If you're active duty and in any of the military branches and services, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, or Space Guardians, please reach out and also scan that QR code. We are mainly operating on Facebook, but if you're also on the Discord, which you should be able to find through the same link, go ahead and try to reach out to any of us, the admins, and we'll try to get you connected. All right, so what are we doing today? We are, at least the agenda as it stands right now, we're looking at three different things. The first that we're going to end up doing is the altars highlight for the two most recently completed altars, and I'm going to highlight that here. It's shown, and then we're going to get into the second part of the show, which we'll be talking about the deck tech for my Temur commanders that I've built. It's probably bracket 4, I guess you could say, based off the list, and we'll get into that as well. And then we'll get into some playtesting, as I usually do when I do self-play testing on Moxfield, and you see how that runs. In case you're interested in playtesting against, you know, a lot of different decks that you build, but you don't quite have the time to go to the LGS. Okay. Not sure. First time chat, Kenny King, welcome. Hope you're not a bot. Anyway, good to know we have a viewer. That's awesome. And yeah, so let's get right into it. The first part of this episode, we're definitely going to talk about the altars here. So one thing I'll mention is, if you follow Sublime MTG Altars, you know that we are very good at a certain number of things. I guess you could say primarily two things. One I would say is the ladies love to do anime style works. And I guess it comes natural to them because they're both Japanese, right? But they love it. They've grown up with it. I've grown up with it. And, you know, nowadays there's any number of anime that you could watch, which I think is awesome. And, you know, as a Commander player, if you don't quite love the art on the cards that you play, you could always consider altering them, and that's one of the really awesome things about Commander is it's a way to a way to express yourself. And as far as that's concerned, we did have a client reach out to us, and he loved the work that we've done. He's also he was enamored with the foil aspect of some of our altars, and that's really what we're going to do is highlight that. The second thing, right? So I mentioned they're really good at anime style altars, but secondly, I would say they're also very good. The ladies are very good at doing highly detailed works. So with the highly detailed works and anime style altars comes the other option that you can request is to do foil embellishments. And so we have foil cards that are hand painted on, but we do accents on them to make sure that the foil pops. So here we go. The first card we're going to look at, I'm going to bring it close to the camera, is a card called Thrasios Triton Hero. And the card itself is a foil, actual real card, Magic the Gathering card. And the inside box is what was replaced with new art. And so this type of altar we call a box replacement. Now, there's some intricate amount of work that goes into this type of altar because you have to be extremely delicate, first of all, when you're removing the original art so that you could still retain some of the foil aspect of the card itself. So, with that, Michiko, she painted the character Makima, if you ever watched the anime called Chainsaw Man. If you've seen the anime Chainsaw Man and you know Makima, that I think as far as the client was concerned, he loved the idea of putting her on here. And so a reference art was selected to be able to try to meet his intent. And so as we're looking at this card, I just want to kind of turn it and angle it in different ways here. But one of the great things about retaining the foil is you can decide, or at least our artist Michiko decided, what would be the best way of making it still shine and take advantage of the reference work. So Makima has these really cool... that does not damage the card, I promise you. Makima has these really cool spirals in her eyes. So the detail in this work is definitely there. Michiko chose to make the eyeballs shine, so that's really cool. There's a halo above her head, and then there's these kind of rays of light that are emanating from that halo. And so those are exquisitely laid out in the appropriate color of gold and kind of a hot pink, magenta, red kind of glow. And so I think that captures the art really well, allowing it to shine the way it did. And yeah, if you like this type of altar, give us a shout out and like our page and like our socials. So that's Thrasios, Triton Hero, Green Blue, Partner Commander. If you play CDH, I think the usual combo, you have Thrasios and any other number of different color partner commanders. We have Rograkh, son of Rohgahh, which is the other partner commander, which I'm about to highlight. So there's that. Really cool. Again, if you like our stuff, shoot us a note and like our page. All right. So let's talk about Rograkh, son of Rohgahh. 0 mana cost, partner commander, first strike, menace trample. I think this reference is awesome. Again, if you watch Chainsaw Man, and you love Denji and you love Makima, like I think this is a perfect combo to have on here. Also, there was a really quick note I think that we received from the client requesting that the image we need to make sure that Denji, when he's in his Chainsaw Man form, that he's facing in that particular direction, because I think that's the way Rograkh also faces. So when you turn this thing sideways, and I know in CDH you don't usually turn Rograkh sideways, unless you were to convoke, I would suppose. But you wouldn't use it really generally to attack. You want to make sure it's in that direction. Anyway, so Chainsaw Man, clearly there's a lot of metallic parts. The chainsaw cover, the handle, all of kind of the flare that's shown in the background. The foil again was retained, and if we take a very close look at this, we're highlighting the foil aspect of the car, which is awesome. One more thing I want to mention about when we foil or we ensure the embellishments of foil are on there, is that some of the artwork, or I'm sorry, some of the cards that are printed, that were Wizards prints, turns out that they are, some of them are actually more difficult to expose the foils than others. And so we in this case, I think it was Commander Legends. If you're an altar artist, just throwing this out there, you should probably maintain a list of printed sets that have certain levels of difficulty. I would say this is closer to the realm of medium to high medium to very difficult to expose the foil. So it's very delicate, the process, but again, I think the client is going to be extremely happy when he receives these cards in the mail. We are going to go ahead and start packaging that up and getting it sent out as soon as possible. So the two cards again, they're shown here. If you like the work, awesome. If you don't, sorry, I guess it's not for you. But take full advantage of whatever ways you feel are fun and ways to express yourself when you want to play Magic the Gathering and Commander especially. So there's that. What's going on here? Looks like there's 4 people in the chat. Thanks for showing up. Some of our new viewers. What is happening here? Okay, I guess there's an auto mod. That's cool. Anyway, good stuff. What partner commanders would you prefer to see Makima and Denji, if not Thrasios and Rograkh? Let me know in the chat, or reach out to us on Facebook. That's really cool. Awesome. And as usual, we want to make sure these things are very well packaged. So we're going to put some perfect fits on these suckers. And then we're going to put it in the very cool top loaders. I'll show that momentarily. And recently I bought these perfect fits. I forget their name, but I went to the game shop recently. And of course I always advocate supporting the game shop. But I went to the game shop and I saw these perfect fits. And I was like, holy shit. These darn things are like $7 for 100 pack. And I'm like, hell no, I'm not paying for that anymore. I went on Amazon recently and I found I think you could buy about 6, I think there's about 20 of these packs in this package. And in 20 of the packs that had 100, so I think it was about 2,000, or it could have been like 1,000 or whatever. But I think I ended up paying like $19.99, $20. I think with some tax, it ended up being about $22. So if you have a lot of collectible cards and want to double sleeve, triple sleeve, whatever, to protect your cards, I would recommend doing a little research, finding those perfect fits, and then sleeving your cards up and not spending a ton of money. Anyway, so we're going to put Thrasios, aka Makima. We're going to throw her into this perfect, or not the perfect fit, but the top loader. And also, I went on Amazon and found this, so this is great too. Is the what do they call this thing? It's called magnetic card holder. And if you want to further embellish or protect, not just protect your commander, but also show it off a little bit, and not just put it in a normal top loader, you can pick these up at very cheap as well. So I can't advocate enough what I think you can do to fully accentuate, fully show off your altars, and this is just one way to do it, right? So Makima is going in. She's in the magnetic card holder. We're going to display that again. And yeah, that's good to go. We're going to throw her back into the outer sleeve that this came in. If I could find it, I think it dropped somewhere. Okay, I don't know where it went. Holy cow. Oh, there it is. All right, so we're going to tuck that in. She's amazing. My wife's amazing. The artwork is just freaking awesome. And we're gonna get that out there to the clan. It's gonna ship soon. All right, so we're gonna put Denji, aka Rograkh, son of Rohgahh. We're gonna put him into the magnetic card holder, and I think the client is just gonna be very appreciative of that. That's good to go. I'll make sure it does not get damaged, and we are set. And yeah, it's in the magnetic card holder. What do y'all think? Did we hit the mark on this? Did it work out? I think so. Very highly detailed, very intricate kind of work. A lot of hours get spent perfecting this kind of thing. So if you like that, that's cool. Partner commanders, Temur, CEDH, bracket 5. Very likely, if you see this at a table, it's likely bracket 5. So good luck to our client and friend who commissioned us to make this work. Okay. Now the second part of the stream, we are going to show our other Temur partner commanders, because I thought maybe it's pretty much in theme. And we're going to show these this deck. We're going to show it off. We're going to show it off, and we're going to talk about how I built it. This is a very unique deck. This is actually one of my favorite decks. I would say top 10 favorite decks, because generally speaking, who would want to play these commanders? They're very unique. They have some really cool abilities, and I want to show that you can build any deck and have a lot of fun with it, even though they don't look like they could pair well as partners. So this, I would say, is a bracket 4. Before we get into the cards themselves, I did want to very quickly show what it looks like on Moxfield. And then we'll come off of that, and then actually start talking about the cards. We'll show off every single card that's in there, and we'll have a lot of fun doing that. All right, so let me do a transition, and then we can go to the deck on Moxfield. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so if you're still around watching the stream, thank you for sticking around. If I think all the settings on Twitch are correct, you can see the Moxfield deck itself. I'm gonna go ahead and post the link in the chat. So if you're interested in this style of commanders, That's awesome. Take a look at the deck. Let me know what you think. But yeah, we have Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix, as the blue-green commander, and then Alena, Kessig Trapper. So, we have the partner commanders, so it's a Temur deck. Let's see what bracket. Let's see what bracket Moxfield recommends this be. So we have 7 game changers, bracket 4 optimize. Clearly, there's some really awesome cards in here, like Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith, Fierce Guardianship, Cyclonic Rift, Mana Vault. Narset's on there, then the One Ring, so that gets your 7. And I'm going to show the cards momentarily, but let's talk about the composition of the deck. 2 Planeswalkers, 18 creatures, 8 sorceries, 13 instants, 16 artifacts, 8 enchantments, and 33 lands. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably noticed that I'm stuck on 33 lands. I'm okay with that, partly because a lot of the compensation comes in the form of mana rocks or mana producers. And so why Kydele, why Alena? When you look at what Kydele does and what Alena do, they generate a lot of mana. And that's kind of the theme of the deck, is taking full advantage of what they can do when they produce that much amount of mana. So we have Alena, what she says is she's a 5 drop creature that is a 4 power and 3 toughness. She has partner, First Strike. I forgot that she had that ability, First Strike, as a matter of fact. First Strike doesn't really mean much in the deck. I'm not really going to see her attack. If I do see her attack, it's probably because I've already run out of options. But she has a cool activated ability. When she taps, add an amount of red equal to the greatest power among creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. So what this deck relies on, even though it has a small creature package, is the low casting cost creatures. Actually, Apex Altsor doesn't count, but it's good utility. I'll explain that later. But low casting cost creatures like Ball Lightning, and then Nessian Boar, which is a really odd card to begin with, and then other cards like Phyrexian Dreadnought, etc. So when they ETB, they have certain abilities, but then Alena will be able to add that amount of red. So if you play a Phyrexian Dreadnought on whatever turn Alena, after the turn after Alena gets dropped and she can activate, immediately she'll produce 12 red if you played a Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's just one case. Of course, you've played a Nessian Boar, etc. That would be 10 red. Phyrexian Soulgorger, that would be 8. So that's the kind of mana that Alena can produce. And so the other part of the deck is Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix. So Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix does something similar. So Alena really, it really is almost kind of a 50-50 type of deck. Will Alena go off before Kydele goes off? I guess it just depends on what kind of cards you have. And so that's why there's only 18 creatures in the deck, and then there are either instants or sorceries that you could take full advantage of and capitalize on the amount of mana that's generated, or you can also cast Eldrazi. But for Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix, to be clear, what's actually happening with her, let's look at what her abilities are. She is a 4-drop creature that has power 2 and toughness 3. When you activate her, you can add a colorless mana for each card you've drawn this turn. So, in the respect of both Alena and Kydele, you're only going to be able to produce the amount of mana that either generate based off of something happening that turn, either a creature or the high power coming in, or an effect or spell that you cast that is going to allow you to draw a lot of cards. So Kydele, if you draw a bunch of cards, and sometimes you can draw a crap ton of cards, I would say, the most I've ever seen, I think immediately Kydele being able to produce mana would be on the order of 28 cards per turn. And that has to do with a lot of the sorceries and effects like Time Spiral, where you get to untap 6 lands, but you still draw 7 cards. You can get simple draw based off of Brainstorm, and then Jace the Mind Sculptor, etc. Right? So what is the frequency of having Alena or Kydele activate? That just depends on what you draw, of course. How then can you take full advantage of those effects of producing that kind of mana? Of course, you need to be able to power out these commanders very quickly. So you need to generate initial mana to be able to bring it out, and that comes in the form of the mana rocks. And then there's some utility enchantments that we could use. Aether Flash is great. Both the commanders that I have toughness greater than 2, so this is not going to affect them. Whenever a creature comes into play, Aether Flash deals 2 damage to it. That won't affect either, and you can kill off nasty tokens that come out on opponents' turns. And a lot of just generating a crap ton of mana through other effects, and we'll get into that a little bit more depth. 33 lands is the standard for me. I like that. If you don't, let me know in the comments what type of mana package you run. Is it 33 or less or more? I guess it really just depends on your deck. Okay, so let me switch back over to showing off the cards a little bit, because I like to do that. All my cards are real. I do have some altar cards not in this deck though, so I guess you're going to miss out on that. Alright, so we're switching over. And let's show off the cards a bit. Okay. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to... Yep, there we go. Cool. So, Alena, Kessig Trapper, Kydele Chosen Kruphix. I just spoke about what they do. If you're just joining us, thank you for joining. We're about to talk about and show the cards that are physically in the deck for this commander deck. So I like to do deck decks where I actually show the cards. One thing I think that's pretty awesome about owning the cards is, it's something tangible. You're enjoying actual physical product that you can say that you own. All right, so what's going on here? We're going to talk about Planeswalkers. I think there's 2 Planeswalkers in the deck. You have Jace the Mind Sculptor, pretty good interaction. You're going to be able to get, if you activate on the 0 loyalty ability, you get a Brainstorm effect, which is awesome. That pairs really well if you play Kruphix first, and then the turn after, I'm sorry, not Kruphix, Kydele. After Kydele comes in, that next turn you can Brainstorm for 3 and then generate immediately 4 mana based off of the 3 plus the 1 card that you drew. And then, of course, the other options that Jace can provide are the other loyalty abilities for interaction, like Fate Sealing, your +2, or -1 to return a creature to their owner's hand. And then I very rarely ever get to the ultimate, which is the -12. But if you do, for some reason, because the game lasts that long, then I guess you could go for it. But there's not much protection. I guess that's one way in the deck, or one of the liabilities of the deck is you're not going to be able to protect your Planeswalkers very well against combat. Anyway, that's Jace. That's cool. Narset, part of Veils, and the next card that I want to show right after Narset is one of the cards that is just absolutely mean, and when you're playing both cards, it's just a disaster for your opponents. Now I warn my friends that if this comes out, you're just gonna have to expect it. It's bracket 4. It's fine. Sometimes, I don't mean to pub stomp or anything, but if it's a bracket 4 deck and not every other deck matches up to bracket 4, even if they're bracket 3s, it's fine. My play group, I think all the folks that I play with, they're generally very accepting of any kind of deck that we're playing and that I'm playing. But I warn them that this is a thing that can happen. So as long as that warning is given, at least in the rules or discussions, things are fine, right? Anyway, Narset Part of Vels, 3-drop Planeswalker. Each opponent can draw more than one card each turn. -2 to look at the top 4 cards and then reveal a non-creature non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's awesome. You could activate her ability exactly twice. There's no effects in this deck that allow me to proliferate. So unfortunately, I can only do that twice. But what I actually care more about is this top portion here, which an opponent can draw more than one card each turn. Now, this is the mean card that pairs just really well with Teferi. I'm sorry, not Teferi, Narset. So Teferi's Puzzle Box, it says during each player's draw phase, that player counts the cards in his or her hand, puts those cards on the bottom of his or her library, and then draws that many cards. So great for your Kydele to activate for a lot of mana. So what you probably end up doing is, let's say you had 7 cards in hand for some reason, and then you go to your draw phase, right? So you end up drawing a card, then drawing whatever number of cards that you have, or I think one happens before the other. I think it's the number of cards, then you draw, right? Because that's part of the draw phase. Anyway, so let's say you had 7, you end up basically drawing a total of 8. Your Kydele is going to tap for 8, and that's awesome. Now, this also affects your opponents. So if they're trying to draw and you had a Narset out, this will actually only this will prevent them from drawing the other cards that they had put down on the bottom of their library. They won't be able to draw that many cards because you have Narset preventing them from doing that. So really all they end up doing is just drawing one card, and that kind of sucks. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. Then let's get into the artifacts, because I just wanted to do it a little bit out of sequence to show that particular combo. Next card is Alhammer's Archive. If you didn't end up buying the Secret Lair 30th anniversary, whatever, this came in that. This is the auto-include. Cool card. Or cool idea when they put it in for their encyclopedia. That's what they call it. Secret Lair Encyclopedia. Anyway, Alhammer's Archive, you get to draw basically, you draw basically twice. So like if you're to draw an extra card, if you draw a card except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, you draw 2 cards instead. So there's a lot of effects in the deck. This is kind of overkill, to be honest, but it's fun. If you're drawing more cards, let's say you brainstorm beyond your normal first draw, you're going to end up drawing 6 cards off of the brainstorm. And then your Kydele is going to generate 7 mana that turn. That's awesome. Staff of Domination. So I absolutely love this card because I think it's in several of my decks, and I won't lie. I mean, it's just a combo enabler. I think at one point, if I'm not mistaken, the Rules Committee actually banned this card. And someone's going to have to refresh my memory because that was before my time when I was on the Commander Advisory Group and subsequently the Commander Format Panel, but it was before my time on either of those where I believe Staff of Domination was banned. If you're watching this or looking at this later, feel free to correct me. Also, correct me if I was wrong about the Teferi's Puzzle Box. I forgot to prep myself a little bit more on the stream to talk about the ability of that card. Anyway, Staff Domination is awesome. You generate a ton of mana from either Alena or Kydele, and then you have the ability to untap the creature that tapped for a shit ton of mana, so you can untap it again, and then you can basically draw your whole deck, gain whatever amount of life you want to. That's actually the one ability I forgot about this card, is that you could gain life. So you can gain infinite life and then take full advantage of that. You could probably throw an Aetherflux Reservoir or whatever it is you want to do to take advantage of life gain. And in this type of deck, I didn't, because I think I have Aetherflux Reservoir in other decks and I didn't want to be too duplicative. But that's a great card. Awesome card. Combo enabler. I mean, it was probably, if it was banned, it was rightly so at the time. It's obviously not banned currently. The One Ring, a game changer. This is one of the 7 game changers that were listed earlier. Great card, 2 cast. You get protection. It's indestructible, and you can, just depending on how many times you're able to activate it and add counters to it, you can draw that many cards. You're probably going to be able to draw several cards off of this, and this might be one of the cards that will allow you to do it consistently for each turn that it's around. Very difficult to remove, obviously, because it's indestructible, but this will generate the amount of mana that Kydele can then produce in a short amount of time. Sensei's Divining Top, top deck manipulation, which is always great, and then of course you have to the bonus of drawing a card. Sensei's Divining Top is in a lot of my decks, rightly so. It's a great card. If you don't run that in your decks, consider doing that. Sometimes they may not be that. This may not appear that great, but if you have top deck manipulation and you have fetch lands, it's always a bonus. I think, to have this card do that. Now we're gonna get into the mana rocks, the stuff that will power out your Alena and Kydele very quickly. Obviously, Sol Ring is an auto include in all the decks. Taps to add 2. Then you have your Mana Vault that taps to add 3. Now the great thing about Mana Vault is you could power out Alena, but you would feel like you wasted mana if you powered out Kydele on the second turn, and that's probably okay. But either way, if you play this first turn, you can play either of the commanders. Just take a look at your hand and decide if you are willing to produce more mana either by drawing more cards or produce more mana by having creatures into the battlefield with power that is very high, and you can use Alena. Dimir Signet, I think all the signets are in the deck. So Dimir Signet, Gruul Signet, Izzet Signet for your appropriate dual color spells that you might have. Basalt Molluth. So Basalt Molluth is also another combo enabler, and that's going to come in the form of, later on as I explain it, Power Artifact or Mana Reflection. So you can tap this to add 3 colorless, and then you can pay 3 to untap it. The untapping really doesn't matter, at least for the 3 mana that you use to produce it, but it matters if you have a Mana Reflection or something that costs, or that allows you to reduce the cost to untap it, so that you can untap it infinitely and then generate a crap ton of mana that's colorless. So you wonder, okay, what are we going to do with this colorless? We're gonna get into that when we start getting into some of the sorceries and instants, because the infinite mana colorless is going to net you a lot of colorless mana, and you can put that into your X spells that are in the deck. Threat Dynamo, 4-drop, Mana Vault, but does not have the restriction of not being able to untap during the untap step. Great card. If I can put this in a lot of my bracket 3 or bracket 4 decks, I would. I just don't have enough of them. We talked about colorless mana. So, Chromatic Orrery, superb card. I think I only have 2 copies of Chromatic Orrery. One is in this deck, and I think one is in my Optimus Prime Rule 0 Megatron deck, if I'm not mistaken. But you can turn your colorless mana into basically colored mana, because you could use the mana as though it was mana of any color. You could also tap this as a mana rock on its own for 5, and then you can pay 5 to draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Now, at most, you are only going to draw about 3 cards with this card, but I don't really care so much about that unless I need a consistent draw enabler. Essentially, what you end up getting out of this is the ability to turn your colorless mana into colored mana, so you need it for the appropriate mana fixing. I'm just going to very quickly check the chat. Yeah, if you have any comments about the deck so far, let me know. Do you think it's cool? We've only really talked about Kydele in this instance and the drawing ability, right? Lightning Greaves is an absolute must. So, I think you might ask, do you need Lightning Greaves in every deck? Or would you prefer Swiftfoot Boots, or have both? And I think I removed Swiftfoot Boots on here because I hate the fact that I had to pay the 1 to equip. So with Lightning Greaves, I can have it immediately tap either my commanders tap for mana that I think I can use that turn to help offset certain things, right? So if I play Lightning Greaves early on, then I had Kydele come out, I can still generate 1 mana. But if I had Alena out, after Lightning Greaves is ready to play, I equip it. I can now count her power because she entered that turn, and I could tap her for 4 red immediately. So if I played her out, let's say turn 3 or turn 4 or whatever, Lightning Greaves is out, I could tap her immediately for 4 red. That means that I essentially had about 9 mana that I was able to power out that turn, which is insane. So 5 plus the 4 red because of her power. Great card. Lightning Greaves, just protection in general, the whole Shroud thing. Now, the Shroud is kind of limiting, though. Because if you don't have another creature in play, you can't just move this thing around. And if you needed to, for some reason, target either of your commanders, and I don't think that's in the deck, that's what it would do. Oh, actually, if you had to put another equipment, say, for instance, Umbral Mantle, but you only had 1 creature out, like Alena or Kydele, you're not going to be able to equip it back on because the Shroud is preventing you from doing that. So that's another liability, I think, depending, because we don't have that many creatures in the deck, that if you had either of the 2 commanders having Lightning Greaves attached to it is great for protection, but it does not allow you to move other equipment on there to be able to have the ability of the other artifact. Umbral Mantle is awesome. It just basically falls in line with a lot of the things with regards to tapping and untapping. So it says, equipped creature has pay 3, then untap it, which that's a really cool mechanic. I think that was introduced during the Lauren block, where you can untap something. So usually there was always the tap symbol. Now this came out with an untap symbol. So you can pay 3, untap the creature that was tapped, and that creature gets +2/+2 until on a turn, and then you can pay 0 to equip. So if you're generating a crap ton of mana with either of those creatures, you might actually swing in with Alena. You might actually do it. Because what happens is, even though you're netting a crap ton of mana, you're giving the creature +2/+2 every time. Or I might just give this to Kruphix and then like swing in with a Simic partner, which I don't really normally do, but maybe I need to remember that because it could happen. So if there's no blockers, why not just kill an opponent with a very huge Kydele or Alena. Grim Monolith, a game changer, rightly so. Mana Vault, same way. Generates a crap ton of mana very early on, gets you ahead of the game, and your opponent's behind, right? I mentioned combo enablers, so let's go into the enchantments. So we just talked about Grim Monolith. It taps for 3, and you can pay 4 to untap it. So this is like a very old combo. When I was playing Kitchen Table Magic, I loved this combo. And so I was playing Kitchen Table Magic for a while, and I was reading Squire Magazine, Inquest Gamer, etc., whatever. And this came up, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And I've been playing a long time. So these cards, when I first purchased them, were like 17. I remember Grim Monolith was like $17 when I bought this thing. Now, Power Artifact at the time was, I think, about 38. So almost like a little bit more than twice what a Grim Monolith costs. And I think they vary in prices now, and maybe I'll show that later in the video. But Grim Monolith now, probably in the $300 or so. I think Power Artifact in the $180 to $220 range now. So I think Grim Monolith is markedly more expensive than Power Artifact. But what Power Artifact does is, I'll read it, 2 blue, the activation cost of target artifact is reduced by 2, If this would reduce target artifacts activation cost below 1, target artifacts activation cost becomes 1. So what this does is the activation to untap it for 4 actually gets reduced by 2, so all you really need to do is tap to have 2 mana untapped. So you tap it for 3 mana. Because the activation is reduced by 2, you get to use that mana for 2 to untap it. So then you actually have 1 colorless mana floating each time you do that, so you have infinite colors, right? Now you can do the same thing with your Basalt Monolith, right? Because you untap it for 3, instead you're going to untap it for 1, do the same thing, generate infinite colors mana, and you're good to go. Alright, now, if you don't have Power Artifact, you could always play Mana Reflection, and that's in the deck's colors. So here it says, if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces twice as much of that mana instead. So not only does this benefit your 2 commanders, because if you powered out an Alena with a Phyrexian Dreadnought, she can tap for 12 times 2 because of Mana Reflection for 24 red. Same thing with Kydele, similar instance. But if you had a Grim Monolith or you had a Basalt Monolith, either one, you're going to generate 3 times 2 is 6. Then you can use the remaining mana or the mana that you have to untap those artifacts and then generate infinite colors. It's kind of the same way as Power Artifact, but instead you have to have a 6 mana enchantment out instead. Freed from the Rill is pretty awesome. Now the crappy thing about Freed from the Rill though is that you need a blue. So if you don't have a Chromatic Ori, as I mentioned in the deck list, if you don't have a Chromatic Ori out, or just previously in the last several cards, where you can turn your colorless mana into mana basically of any color. I mean, that's not exactly how the card reads, but basically that's what it does. Then you have to have some type of thing that can tap for blue to untap your creatures. So there's cards like Bloom Tender in the deck, I think, that can help with that. And then there's a few other things here and there, signets, whatever. But just be careful with that, because if you throw this on one of your commanders, you have to have some sort of protection or some way to not have it get killed very easily. Yeah, so blue is kind of a liability in this case. Penman's Aura, same type of deal. You're using it to untap your creatures. Pay 1 blue to do that. Intruder Alarm. So I love this card when it first came out in Stronghold. At some point in time, years later, I was like, I need to pick up foil copies for the first time that they do print it in foil. The first time that happened was in 8th edition. If it was 7th edition, I'm sure it'll be probably 5 times as costly. But I love this card, Combo Enabler. Your creatures entering the battlefield, or any creature entering the battlefield on any side of the gameplay, will be able to untap all creatures. So creatures come in, untap Alena, untap Kruphix, etc. Eldrazi for your colorless creature spells come in. Alena will tap for 20, 10, whatever it is, and you have that. That's awesome. Burgeoning to get you caught up if you're starting to, or let's say you don't have a powerful start because of Soul Ring or Mana Vault or Grim Monolith or whatever. This will help you get your lands out so that you can play spells later, which is awesome. And then let's get into some of the other enchantments, I think. So utility plus draw. So in library, you want to get all the cards that you can very quickly, but this is at the cost of 4 life per card, not replaced when you look at the top 3 cards of your library. Yeah. Drawing. That's what you want to do for Kydele. So even if it's 8 life and you need that extra 2 mana with Kydele, it's all, you got to go all in. Aether Flash. So every time I play this card, it's actually pretty freaking awesome. And no one expects it. They're like, holy shit, that's an awesome card. So what it says is 2 colorless and 2 red. Whenever a creature comes in play, Aether Flash deals 2 damage to it. I love this card, 1, for its ability, and in this deck, because for Alena, which has a toughness of 3, and then Kydele has a toughness of 3 as well. This, even if it comes in afterwards, it will only deal 2 damage and it won't kill it. But this is really awesome against people who play mana dorks, people who have token decks, whatever. Whenever they come in immediately, they're just going to die because 2 damage gets dealt to them, and they go to the graveyard, and you're happy, they're not. That's fine. Great utility enchantment. I can't recommend this enough. Superb card. Plus, it's foil. That's the other thing I like about this. 7th edition foil. Awesome. If you're a part of that community of folks that collect 7th edition foils, hopefully you got in early because later on in life it got really expensive and I couldn't afford it anymore. Shattering Spree. I like this card. Some people might prefer what's that one card? 1 red, and then you can do Overload, 4 colors and red to destroy all other artifacts. Now, some people might prefer that. I like this, I think, because I probably threw that other card in a lot of other decks. I just forgot what it is. I don't remember it. Someone can put it in the chat if they do. But I threw Shattering Spree in here because of the replicate cost. Yeah, Vandal Blast. Vandal Blast is correct. Midnight Blue 9999. Thanks for the correction there. I had a brain fart. I couldn't figure it out. But I threw Shattering Spree in here because of the replicate being red. I have Alena, Kessig Trapper, producing a shit ton of red. And I don't mind just paying the replicate to destroy individually each other artifact that I want to kill. It doesn't have to be all the artifacts that my opponents control. I don't have to do that with Vandal Blast. I just want to do it individually because it's cool. And again, this isn't quite old school foil, but it is probably still very cool because it's original foil. Gale Pact, awesome. I love the card. More interaction. Let's talk about interaction for a second. Fierce Guardianship. So I don't think I play Force of Will in the deck. I could, but I don't think there's enough blue to make it matter. But the thing about Fierce Guardianship is you want to, like, if you're not exactly playing CEH bracket 5, but you want to protect your commander, which just came out. Like, let's say it was your 4-drop, you played it on your 4th turn, even your 3rd turn, whatever. You want to protect it immediately. This is great because you may not have the requisite mana to actually pay for it. So that's awesome. And I throw Fierce Guardianship in other decks, like I think Bruna, which are high cast. So your high mana cast commanders benefit from having this card. So decide if that's the kind of money you want to spend. It's up to you. But I think when I first bought Fierce Guardianship, it was when the precon came out. I think it was in Ikoria. And the card was less than $60. It was like 15, 18, whatever. Sometimes you just have to have an eye for certain cards. And if you miss it, that's fine. Look at other cards. And if you think they're going to be worth it, someday just pick them up. Because you could probably throw it in a lot of decks. All right. Red Elemental Blast. I mean, bracket 4, there's probably a lot of blue spells being played. Great. Cyclonic Rift. So you have a lot of mana. It's very easy to overload. Why not? Overload it to return all non-land permanents. Because that, if you overload it, Cyclonic Rift, again, game changer. If you don't know it, shame on you. Stocking up on Heir Apparents. Very cool. You know, I think any amount of those cards that you can have any number of in a deck is always a good investment. Because, you know, on one side of the coin, you could make a deck out of it, but on the other side of the coin, you have enough later on so that if it is not reprinted later, you could always decide to just sell it in case you lost interest. So I think that's a good pickup as well. Midnight Blue. If I was really into those types of cards, 61. Hell yeah, that's awesome. If I was into those types of cards, I probably would have done that. So yeah, things like Persistent Petitioner, Heir Apparents, you know, everything else. What is it? That one black cleric card. I forget the name. Anyway, same type of thing, or even just Relentless Rats, etc. That's all good. Okay, so Cyclonic Rift. You have a shit ton of mana. Return all of your opponent's non-land permanents to their hands. That's great. Chaos Warp for great interaction. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, Shadowborn Apostle, good call. Then you have Mana Drain, which will then again allow you to power out a lot of either of your commanders very quickly. So save up your 2 blue, have that in there. I don't think I have a counterspell in the deck. I just have a Mana Drain because when you start building a deck like this, you're gonna have to decide how much of the effect that you need of both, right? Or either, I should say, because I need to balance creatures that have high power when they answer. Then I have to balance also cards that allow me to draw, so I could take advantage of her tapping for that amount of mana, colorless mana. So when you start to whittle down on your 99, or I guess in this case 98, you have to really decide what cards matter, and will a regular counter spell be enough? I don't think so. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. I run counter spell in a lot of decks. I do. But Mana Drain, if it's in the right deck, it makes sense. You throw that sucker in there. Ancestral Vision. I love Ancestral Vision. I think a lot of decks should probably run it more. I mean, if you're playing Cascade, that's great. It's a great card. But if you're playing a deck like this that you need draw, that's cool. I would play this, I think, turn 2 so that I can have Kruphix tap on... I'm sorry, Kydele tap for 3 plus the 1 draw, that's 4, at least minimum on turn 5. So you have to just be aware of the suspend effect before it actually end up being played. Brainstorm, for obvious reasons, the same reasons that we talked about for Jason Mind Sculptor earlier. For Kydele. Frantic Search, awesome card. In foil, also, by the way, really, really, really cool, original. You draw 3 cards. I'm sorry, you draw 2 cards, then untap, then discard 2 cards, then you untap 3 lands. So if you need more mana, that's great. That's what you need to do. Kruphix being out, you at least can tap her for 3, then have an additional 3 as well, so you can have 6 mana out that turn. Now you start getting into more of the draw effects. So if you have mana already that you could throw into Pull from Tomorrow to try to win the game, that's cool. Or you can try to just draw for utility based off of Alena. Then if you have Kruphix or Kydele out, then you could draw more cards and then also tap for a lot more mana. Brain Geyser, same effect, except it's not an instant like Pull from Tomorrow is. It's a sorcery, but it's old school, white border. If you like Revised and like this card, definitely consider putting it in there. And on the same token, except on the instant side of things, but not exactly the same ability as Pull from Tomorrow, where you have to discard a card. This costs basically an additional mana than your Pull from Tomorrow, but Stroke of Genius. This is very nostalgic for me. Not this art or the print itself, but the original one was from Urza Saga, and I remember when they had played. I think one of the tournament decks at the time was this deck that utilized Tolarian Academy, banned obviously for rightly so. Tolarian Academy, Mind Over Matter, Stroke of Genius, and then you basically force your opponent to draw their whole deck, which is awesome. Or you draw a bunch of cards, discard it to Mind Over Matter to untap Tolarian Academy, force your opponents to draw a shit ton of cards, or you can draw more cards, whatever. So that was extremely nostalgic for me. I pulled this from a pack recently, or not recently, but when I opened Dominaria Remastered, and I immediately thought of this deck because I wanted to pimp it out and throw it in there, so that's great. I think it's a fairly unslept or slept-on card. There are other cards that allow you to draw, but in this deck makes sense because of the X cost. Okay, Echo of Eons is amazing. So you tap your mana, pay for it with 6. Let's say your Kruphix is out, right? I'm sorry, your Kydele chosen of Kruphix is out. Let's say that your one commander is out. You play this. Everyone draws 7 cards, shuffles back into the library, but this is put into the graveyard. You can flashback it again. So I mentioned that you can tap Kydele for a lot of mana, and I'm not even kidding. You can do that if you had the mana available to do this twice in the turn, you can flashback it. You'll draw immediately 14 cards, and Kydele can tap for 14 mana. Some interaction, but kind of does the same thing as Echo of Eons, and you probably notice if you peeked in the back, there's Time Spiral there. Same type of deal, but you can counter or put spells that are on the stack or non-land permanents to their library if you play the instant side, and then you can play the Aftermath side for the sorcery later. So clearly you need to play the instant first before you take advantage of this, or maybe it's already in the graveyard and you can just do Aftermath. So you have Memory, which basically does the exact same thing, except you're going to exile this instead. It's almost like Flashback in a sense, but it doesn't quote-unquote say Flashback, so that's something really you have to keep in mind. Then you have Time Spiral. So Time Spiral, also, again, I think this is part of the same blue deck that I was just talking about with Mind Over Matter, Tolarian Academy, Stroke of Genius, and you're drawing cards. You're forcing people to draw cards, or you can draw more cards, etc. Time Spiral is great. 6 mana, does the same thing Echo of Eons does, but you get to untap your mana. But then when immediately after its play, it gets exiled. So if it resolves, gets exiled, then the wheel happens, and then you're good to go. Again, your Kydele is going to generate a ton of mana. That's great. So what do you do of all this? What do you do of all this mana? You got to use it for something. Is it going to be for creatures? Is it going to be for other spells? And maybe some of these spells are X spells. That's great. And so this is kind of the bridge between drawing and what you could end up doing with it. The unfortunate thing is it doesn't have Fuse, which I think is a mechanic that came out in the Gate Crash block, whatever. And someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but this is part of, I think, Return Ravnica. Ravnica Allegiance. Yeah, so it's more recent than the older sets that did the guilds. Anyway, is it guild? Whatever. I almost never use the expansion side. Where it says you can copy target instant or sorcery spell with converted mana cost 4 or less, and I can choose new targets for the card. I almost never use that, and maybe I should look at this card a little bit more, and then hold it, and then maybe even retain priority to copy a spell that I have, or another spell. Anyway, I use this other side, Explosion. So I mentioned shit ton of mana. You might have your blue, red. But then this also gives you the added bonus of drawing more cards too. So you could do X damage, and then target player also, you likely yourself, you're going to want to draw X cards. So that's what you want out of this card. Explosion, awesome. Deal shit ton of damage, draw a shit ton of cards, take care of business. Cool. Okay, so I was doing some deck revisions lately on a lot of my decks because I wanted to play new cards, and this isn't exactly new, but I think I had to take out a card from this deck, and then I was trying to figure out what else I could use. So March of Reckless Joy, I think it's cool, not only because it's foil and it has a cool art, but sometimes you run out of gas, and one way to catch up is playing March of Reckless Joy. So it's kind of like a version of, I guess you could say, almost like Dig Through Time, some other spells that basically you get to look at from the top of the library. This one removes them from the game. You can play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn. So let's say you have a shit ton of mana and you only really need 2 spells to win the game. Play this, exile whatever number of cards you need to exile. Let's just say it's 30. There's probably a good chance you're going to get into your win con and then play up, those up to those 2 cards, right? So what you don't want to do is exile cards that have X in their mana cost, because that's not really going to do you anything, right? Oh wait, hold on. You may play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn. So that it doesn't say without paying their mana cost. So actually, if you did exile and expel, that actually is good. Very good. Because you could use that and then just win the game, kill off people. And comes the next card, which is old school too. Fireball. Fireball, when you look at it, it's kind of shitty. Like, you would never really want to play Fireball in any commander deck. Unless you had the ability to generate infinite mana, which that's what this deck does. There's no text on here, so the full art textless cards, I think they're game day promos or whatever, but they if you play it during that time, you could get these. These are really cool. I love the art. It's awesome. Generate a shit ton of mana. You can pay 1 colors in addition as you're playing the spell to target another target. It could be a creature or player. And then so the mana basically gets divided as whenever you start paying an additional 1 beyond the first choice. So if you want to kill off 1 player, that's cool. But if you had a lot more mana, then the X basically gets distributed as you start to target more things. Great card. Only in the right deck. So don't put this in every deck. Something similar, Electro Dominance. The one thing I like about Electro Dominance is that if you already have infinite mana, but let's say you didn't have, let's say you had infinite colors. Just throw this out there. You had infinite colors, but you didn't have the requisite colored mana that you needed, and you had a card in hand. You could play that card off of basically this spell as long as it had mana cost X or less. So I'd say that for things like if you did this, let's say you dealt 20 damage to a player, and you wanted to just throw in a Nessian Boar just because you can do that, or you can play some other cards that could benefit off of that second ability. So I think that's great. Also, there's no timing restrictions on that, so you could play this on your opponent's turn, and then the resulting mana cost X or less that you could play from your hand can be played without paying its mana cost. So that's great. Jaya's Immolating Inferno, also another great card. Now, if you were sort of limited on mana, don't quite have unlimited infinite mana, you can still utilize the ability well, because you can target each of up to 3 targets. So if you have 3 opponents, you want to kill them. You might only really need to spend 10 colorless into the X to kill the opponents based on their life totals, or 10, 15, whatever. If it's not infinite, that's fine. You might still be able to kill them off. Now the only drawback is the legendary sorcery card type. You will need one of your commanders to be able to play this, so consider this technically a liability. Like, I don't know, if you want to make your deck fun and it centers around the commanders, this is the kind of deck that you want to play. But be aware that you can only play this if you have your requisite partner legendary creatures out. Crackle with power. I looked on Card Kingdom recently, and Card Kingdom has this listed at like $30. I remember when Strixhaven came out, the original Strixhaven came out back in like 2019. 2019, I think, summer of 2019, whatever. And I pulled this card from a pack, and I was like, man, this is a shit card. This is a shit card. But again, in the right deck, it makes sense. If you have a lot of mana, why not? This deals 5 times X damage to each of up to X targets. So the triple X that's on the casting cost, really, it doesn't even matter if you have infinite mana. So you don't need to spend too much to just kill off your opponents. So if you paid 1 for each of the X's, you only get 1 target. If you pay 2, that's 2 targets, 3 targets, etc., etc., etc. Now, that's 5 times. So if you paid 3 into it, you're trying to kill your opponents all at the same time. The minimum amount of damage that will be dealt is 3 times 5, which is 15. But how much do you have to pay? 3 times 3 is 6, or 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 red is 11. You need 11 mana to do 15 damage to each of your opponents. Something to think about there. Like, does this deck have liabilities? Does this deck have cards that look like they could be dead in your hand? I would say so, but you just have to have the right conditions on the battlefield to make it work. Kyora's Follower, your Simic colors to untap stuff, untap another target permanent. Bloom Tender. Man, they reprinted this sucker recently in the Lore and Eclipse set, and I was like, hell yeah. But guess what? The Eventide original print foil still generally retains good value. But I'm jealous of the folks that pulled Fracture foils for Bloom Tender in this recent set that just came out. Fracture foils, they're cool. I like them. I pulled one in the one box I opened up on the stream last weekend. But as with a lot of sets, when they first come out, the hype is high in the beginning. Then prices started going down. My Glen Elendra Guardian went from $250 to now like $125, and it dropped in half, and I was sad because I actually was freaking out when I got my pulls in my box. Anyway, Bloom Tender's awesome. Tap it for 3 mana because you probably have your Temur colors. But also take note, you can use the blue mana that you come out of a Bloom Tender to throw it into a Penman's Aura, or you're freed from the reel, so that you can untap your commanders and then basically just generate. Actually, sorry. You would do that to untap Bloom Tender with the blue, and then just generate infinite green, infinite red, which is awesome. Jace's Archivist, blue to do a wheel. So it's a wheel on a stick. That's great. Pay 1 blue, tap, activate. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. Most of the time, it's 6 to 7 because we just finished another wheel, and that's great. Continue to add more mana for Kruphix or for Kydele to do her ability. So Vala's great. Basically, it's an option to have play out and tap for a lot of mana early on because of the creatures that I have, and to supplement or complement, I would say augment, Alena, Kessig, Kruphix for the same type of abilities. And then you get to draw cards too. Generally speaking, if you're powering out the huge creatures, you're probably going to have the highest power, greatest power among creatures on the battlefield. So your opponents won't really be able to benefit off of the draw on ETB from the creatures they have coming in the battlefield due to Selvala's effect. You'll have a lot higher power creatures, so no big deal. You're just going to draw, your opponents won't. Tatiova, Benthic Druid. Honestly, for a while, I was not sure if I wanted to throw this in the deck, but I needed a filler, and this seemed fine because the land, just a free land drop, nets you. I'm sorry, you get a free card off of a land drop, which is awesome, and that happens each time. So even if it's just one colorless that you could get for Kydele, that's probably cool. I mean, it could be between life and death when it comes to trying to win the game, and that's fine. And then you get to also gain a life. Niv Mizzet Parun, great card. Now, the only real drawback in this Temur deck is it requires 3 blue and 3 red. Now, clearly, if you are drawing cards, you can take advantage of Niv Mizzet dealing damage to targets. That's what you want. Now, if you have Chromatic Orrery out, it doesn't really matter. The colorless mana is going to turn into colored mana, and then you just play cards like Niv Mizzet, and everything's good. Now, I really like the other trinket ability at the very bottom where it says, whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you may draw a card. So you're still drawing more cards. There's instants and sorceries in the deck. It's not quite a full spell slinger deck, but you can still capitalize off of that trigger. That's great. So you have colorless mana. What do you want to do with it? You can always play Eldrazi. That's just kind of the standard option, I think, for folks that are wanting to play colorless decks. So keep in mind the double diamonds for colorless. That's something to keep that you have to be aware of. And if you have Kydele out, that's great. You can tap her to add the requisite, wasteland or waste colors or colorless color. That doesn't really make sense, but whatever. Also, you draw more cards, and because you're drawing cards equal to the basically less than 7, you draw equal to the difference. You can discard cards. I like the second activated ability that he has. Well, first we have to adjust menace, which is cool. But then you can discard a card with converted mana cost X to counter a spell. So this, if you have a lot of cards in hand, you have the ability to counter other people's spells. Why not? It makes sense. Hullbreaker Horror. So it's bracket 4, I think, for a reason. Hullbreaker Horror is great. You have your Mana Vault. You have Soul Ring. Again, another way for you to get to infinite colorless. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1, return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So you want to bounce your artifacts that can tap for a lot of mana, play them again, and they can just keep bouncing each other so you can generate infinite colorless. Apex Altasaur, so you have a lot of colorless again, and then just splash the green to green, play it. Grade removal. When it ETBs Enrage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control, and then whenever it's dealt damage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. So you could basically, it's kind of like machine gunning with Death Touch, like your Goblin Sharpshooter. But instead, you probably have a limited number of times this can fight. So you want to make sure he doesn't die by fighting everything, because he can only do it so many times. The trigger happens on fight damage, so keep it alive, but it can wipe the board of the pesky stuff that are irritants on the battlefield. Again, we have our Eldrazi interaction through exiling stuff. Ulamog is awesome. I love this card. What I don't have is the new Ulamog, the one that enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters if something was exiled. I don't have that. I probably should throw it in the deck, but it might be overkill. Desolation Twin. Just to get your additional 10/10, you get 2 10/10s when you play the spell. That's great. Phyrexian Dreadnought All-Star in the deck. I picked up the foils when they were early. I think I caught the reserve list bug early on and said, you know what, I need to pick up these things because they're going to go up in price, and for what the card is and what it is capable of in the right deck, you can only expect it to go up, and at the time it made sense for me to buy those. So I think I picked these up at about, I think, $60 a pop. Ball Lightning, a little bit more nostalgic for me, 3 red. So you pay your 3 red, and you get 6 red out of Alena out of it. Then you can also attack if you wanted to. Force of Savagery, I think, is pretty cool because you can get 8 red out of it after you just paid 3 mana. Again, assuming Alena's out, you can generate 8 red mana immediately. Oh yeah, I forgot. So we kind of transitioned from talking about the colorless stuff, which would be generated or would be cast by playing or activating Kydele. Now I'm showing cards that matter for Alena. So Ball Lightning, you get 6 red. Tap Alena for 6 red after you had just played it for 3 red. Still a lot of mana you can use for other things. Force of Savagery, tap your Alena for 8 red. Phyrexian Soulgorger, tap this, or tap your Alena for 8 red as well, for 3. So basically you net 5 extra mana that you wouldn't normally have. Great card. Now you're looking at all these cards and they're kind of shit. That's the awesome thing about Commander. When you play Commander and you want to make your deck work, you just figure out how to do it. And if it involves shitty freaking cards, then you're gonna have a blast with the deck design. And it turns out these creatures, they usually only last 1 turn or less than a turn, like half a second, because of things like Force of Savagery. Like, I don't have an ability to give it a toughness of 1. It starts in with a toughness of 0, so it'll die immediately. But it has an effect that when it comes into play, Alena will catch it and can tap for 8 red. Right? Let's go over Alena, what she does again. So Alena says you tap her to add an amount of red equal to the greatest power among creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. So it's not actually an activation as a result of a triggered ability. It's saying that it recognizes that whatever it did, whatever creature that came in, if it had the highest power, it'll catch that, and you can tap that for an amount of red. Phyrexian Soul Gorger, because it has cumulative upkeep, I'm not going to leave it around. The cumulative upkeep is to sacrifice a creature. I'm not going to leave it around. I'm just going to, on the next turn, I'm going to sacrifice it to itself after that H counter gets added. Hunted Troll in your green colors, again, to get your 8 red mana for Alena. The only drawback is that as ATB, where you put 4 1/1 blue fairy tokens into an opponent's control, under the control. Not that big of a deal, but kind of fun. You could politic a little bit, give the 4 blue fairies to the player that you think needs it, and probably protect yourself from getting killed. Thrasios, something similar. These creatures are shit. They are shit. So you have to decide how to make the most out of the shit cards. Now, Thrasios, you can untap it if you play a historic spell. But again, you're only really using it for your Alena. And maybe you could attack with it later if you play another historic spell, which includes legendary creatures. Nescient Boar, 5 mana for 10. For a 10 power creature. And so this also has an added bonus. Not really for you, but it says whenever Nescient Boar becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card. And it also says all creatures able to block Nescient Boar do so. So in a sense, this could help with board wiping if you're attacking into an opponent. But again, really, you're trying to get Alena to generate 10 red mana because of it coming into play immediately for 5. But you could also just try to clear an opponent's board by forcing their creatures to block. So that's 10 power that can go in and then clear the battlefield a little bit. Okay, we have 5 people still watching. Thank you for sticking around. Holy hell. If you enjoy the content, that's really cool. If you don't, turn off the channel, do whatever you got to do. It is around 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time right now. Go to sleep. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about the mana. So I mentioned 33 lands. That's usually my standard. I don't deviate from that unless I go down for CEDH or I go up based on some sort of lands matters type deck, which probably goes up to as far as 38. I have 33 for this deck. I showed all the mana rocks. I have 2 commanders that produce mana. I don't need that much more mana. Then I'm going to get to the fetch lands and you're going to be like, why the hell you have that many fetch lands? I like fetch lands. I don't care. I just need the exact mana fixing I require at the time of fetching for the right colors. Okay, Ancient Tomb. We already know that's a game changer. Awesome to crank out your Kydele on likely the 3rd turn. Forbidden Orchard for really, because you have, if you're giving away a spirit token, that's not that big of a deal. That's not that big of a deal because you have huge creatures that come out. Some of them are useless and some of them have great utility, but you're probably just really wanting to generate a lot more mana, and you don't really need to worry about pesky 1/1s. No big deal. So your Temur colors, obviously you need your Ketria Triome for your blue, red, green. Frontier Bivouac, it comes into play tap, same type of deal, except you can't fetch for it. The great thing about Triomes, whatever, is they are forest, island, mountain, so you can fetch for it. And if you're not familiar with the term fetch land, I'll explain that when I get there. Frontier Bivouac, you can't fetch for it, all good. And then the obligatory, Greg has dual lands, so I have to show them off, why not? Volcanic Island for your blue-red. Fetchable. Taiga, red-green. And then blue-green for your Tropical Island. I love fetch. I love dual lands. I love fetch lands. I love the white border. I will never be able to afford the black border. I wish I did and caught that bug early. I didn't. But here we are. I have copies. I play them. If you want a proxy, do what you want. I don't do that. That's not my deal. Okay. Then your shock lands in the respective very similar colors as the dual lands and can be fetchable. So clearly Breeding Pool, blue-green, Stomping Ground, red-green, Steam Vents, blue-red. And then honorable mentions in the vein of duels, but not quote-unquote duels, are your battle bond lands, your battle lands. Great for Commander. If you don't know what these things are, pick them up. They have appeared in precons, which is also very cool. Continue to buy them because I think they're great investments for obvious reasons. They're probably going to reprint them in the future, but these will always be playable in Commander decks. So your respective red-green, blue-green, red-blue colors, that's great. Filter lands for the appropriate colors that you need at exactly the time you need it. So this is kind of a this is a call out to the recent Lorwyn Eclipse set, and also the original Lorwyn block. Right, this is Eventide and Lorwyn, Eventide and Lorwyn. So original prints, great cards. I love them immediately. I needed my mana fixing as I was building a lot of my decks, and this met the mark. Fetch lands. How many fetch lands do I have? I have 5 fetch lands. Why the hell 5 fetch lands? Now, usually if I'm running a 3-color deck, I'm probably just going to do 3 fetch lands. I decided to throw 5 in here, partly because I felt it was fine. I want the mana I need immediately. I'm going to get it. So I'm going to throw 5 in there. Oh, sorry, no, shit. This is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 6 is too much. Maybe 6 is too much. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And foils. I love foils. Wish I had more of them. I don't. Things are expensive. Gotta adult. Right? Mystery Enforce, Scalding Tarn, Blooded Strand, Polluted Delta, Windswept Teeth, and Wooded Foothills. Right? Some of them don't really make sense, but of course they're going to look for a single type of card or land type, right? That has a basic land type. To be clear, the way that reads, right, is you're looking for one or the other of the type of land type that it is. And so if you have duals, that's great. You can fetch for those. So I have 2 each of mountain, islands, and forests. Now, originally I only had 1 of each. The reason why I updated the deck list was I had these artifact lands. I had Seed of the Synod for blue, I had Tree of Tales for green, and then I had Great Furnace. I took those individual copies out because I used to have a Metal Worker in the deck, and I used to have a Mox Opal in the deck. I threw those in another deck, my Toph deck, the first Metal Bender. I do have several of those, but I felt it wasn't really necessary to have a Metal Worker in here or a Mox Opal because I was still generating a lot of mana otherwise. Mox Opal is great if you had those artifact lands, but it seemed a little bit too narrow in terms of the scope of needing it. Okay, so I replaced those. I have 2 forests, 2 islands, and 2 mountains. Now we get to the remainder of the lands, which I think are fair, are great in terms of utility. So you have your Alchemist Refuge to tap a green and a blue, tap it. You may cast non-land cards this turn as though they had flash. Halimar Depths, it's a tap land, comes into play, but it's great early on. You might get the benefit of drawing on your second turn a card that you actually decided to top deck manipulate. So without the need for Sensei's Divine Top, as previously mentioned, or something else, you have your Halimar Depths that can do top deck manipulation. Reliquary Tower, one of the best utility lands ever printed in the game of Magic. Definitely needed to be in the deck if you draw all the cards, and you want to have those in hand for your Kozilek or whatever else that you usually need a lot more cards in hand for. Boseiju, who shelters all, awesome card, gives you a colorless, but if you tap it, pay 2 life, the spell that you use that colorless mana on, if it's an instant or sorcery spell, it can't be countered. So this could be clutch at the right moment, and when you need it, it definitely is going to matter. And then last but not least is Hall of the Bandit Lord. So this is in the same vein as your Lightning Greaves, right? So that immediately, if you need to, your Alena can tap for an additional 4 after she comes in, or your Kydele, if you had another effect that already allowed you to draw cards, you could tap it for additional mana immediately when she comes down. All right. We have 4 folks still watching. That's really cool. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for sticking around. I am done showing off the cards in the deck. If you liked it, and thought the deck tech was cool, and you enjoyed or understood my explanations, thank you for that. I just threw the deck tech or the deck list, the link on the chat, so go check that out. Simic plus Izzet means Temur, and this is a very odd partner combination, and I love it. I remember playing against a friend of mine, Andrew, who is the long-standing creator of the largest Facebook community of Commander players, the MTG Commander community. I played against him, and he thought it was awesome. He thought this deck was awesome, and I thought it was awesome. I think at the time, Hull Breacher? Hull Breacher wasn't yet. No, I'm sorry, no. Hull Breacher was banned after the fact, but I played a previous version with this deck that did have Hull Breacher, and Hull Breacher was just absolute bonkers. Banned for good reason. There's wills in the deck. Now this, you might even prefer the other Temur combination commander. I think it's Xyrus, the Writhing Storm. I think it's kind of a similar feel, but it plays out differently because of the 2 effects that one or the other can benefit from. And Xyrus only cares about Phyrexian Altar, whales, and doesn't really care so much about big creatures like this deck does, right? Anyway, if you liked that, that's cool. Check out the link. You can look at my deck list from there. I'm going to go ahead and pack that away, put it in my little Stanley toolbox, little nail nuts and bolts box. And then I'll go ahead and pull up really quickly the deck again, which exists on Moxfield. Let me do that right now. Make sure I have that. Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay, there it is. Yeah. So that's the deck list. Click the link. This is where you go. I don't give my decks, crazy names or whatever. Maybe I should give it more personality. I usually just put out who the commanders are. That way it's easily searchable. And I don't know how many of this combination of colors, partners, etc. exists out there. This might be one of just a very few, but I think it's cool. 100 card deck, obviously. Commander, it's awesome. Let's see how it plays out. But before we do that, I'm going to go into a quick intermission to get some lickies and chewies. And we'll see you all momentarily. No, you all missed the audio on the yogis. It's what I got my little burst of energy from. Anyway, if you missed part of the stream in the beginning, we did show the altar highlights of the recently completed altars Thrasios Triton Hero, partner commander with Rograkh, son of Rohgahh. Temur colors, if you're very familiar with the anime, you probably recognize the characters Makima on Thrasios, and then Denji on Rograkh, and they're both in foil. So, I mentioned earlier, if you like our stuff, Sublime MTG Altars, reach out to us. We very much appreciate your likes and comments and everything in between. Supporting our social media content and what we do. We've been producing and painting hand painted in acrylics altars for clients for now close to 10 years. Coming up this year, I think this will be our 10th year. So this is going to go out to the client. We're very grateful for his support. This will make its way out next week. So good stuff. Anyway, CEDH, if you play it, consider commissioning us and we can visualize your intent. Thank you for supporting. And the second part of the stream, we did a deck tech for Kydele and Alena. Very cool commanders, very unique when you partner them because they have the ability. It seems very weird, but it's doable and it's fun. So don't be afraid to have fun when you do deck building, deck construction. There's a lot of great things you could do with weird commanders in their pairing. So that's also Temur deck, bracket 4. Check out the link, Moxfield. Not CEDH. It's not designed to be CEDH, but it can go below that. It's fun. Okay. So this is the part where we do self-playtesting. I think that's what I like to term it as. I'm going to go and transition to that now. And here we go. We want to self-playtest our Temur deck that we just did a deck tech on, right? I think that is the goal. Oh, my inadvertently showed my OBS, but that's fine. My transitions are not perfect. But we talked about the deck. This is it. I'm going to go and minimize that now so we can get straight into playtesting. So we have Kydele, Chosen of Kruphix / Alena, Kessig Trapper. We're going to playtest that. And we're going to playtest it against, I don't know, if you're still out there watching, that's cool. You can recommend a deck. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and choose ones that I want to play against. And if we're lucky, because it's 9:20 p.m. right now at MST, we might be able to get 2 games in. So let's play. You know what? I think we should play against some elves. I guess in honor of Lorwyn Eclipsed. Let's play some elves. And then well, I guess we could play more elves and fairies. So I built this new Maryland deck. I think in a future stream I'm going to go ahead and do a deck tech on that because I won't lie, it's actually started to become one of my favorite decks, most recently built. And then let's go ahead and play something not quite tribal. Maybe Prosper. Prosper's fun. I forget if I played Prosper last time. So this part of the stream is intended to show people that if you don't quite have the time to play at your LGS, but you want to play test your decks, you know, I used to play test decks where I'm physically just, I have 3 or 4 decks on a playmat. It starts getting crowded, and I'm trying to figure out all the plays. But what I ended up doing later on was I started building more decks, and I didn't want to have to deal with shuffling and all that other crazy crap physically. So I decided to do kind of a 4-panel screen simulating, the battlefield. And I did this digitally based off of the Moxville capability and the idea that you could playtest decks against themselves. Now, if I was motivated, I'd probably look into a little bit more on the existing digital versions where you can play against other real players and then truly playtest your decks. But sometimes I don't have the motivation, and some of the folks on there are kind of jerks. And it's if I wanted to do that, it would actually not be pleasant to have that kind of tomfoolery happen on live stream. Anyway, so let's go and do some playtesting. I'm just gonna let Kydele and Alena start first, which is fine. But we're gonna have to do some mulliganing on some of these other decks. Man, and I can't actually wait to talk about the Maryland deck, because I'm waiting for the cards to come in. I think the Maryland deck is pretty fun. When we do the deck tech, it's actually going to look eerily similar to the red-green deck because of the elf mana dork component to it. But we'll get there. I'm going to keep, I think, all these hands. I think I need to mulligan down one from the Maryland deck, so I'm going to do that now. What I'm going to show you after we're done playtesting is how I actually track this thing. Because what I also do is I try to capture win rates and how, I don't really put down how decks win, but I want to capture how many times within pods would this deck or on a percentage win. Okay, so let's begin. Fetch lands. I have 6 of them in the Kydele deck, according to the deck tech earlier today. So very clearly, we're going to search out the Triton. Oh, you know what? It's boring. Let me play some music. So lower it just a tad, so it's not interfering with what's going on. And you don't have to listen to me drone on about how I play tests. All right, here we go. So shuffle, good to go. Cinderglade. You know what? I'm gonna play Soul Ring first. First one to first turn Soul Ring usually wins. That's what I like to say. And if you like this kind of playtesting, let me know. Put in the comments, or if you hate it, also let me know. I'm open to all kinds of feedback. Yeah, usually with a hand like this, I would probably play Blackleaf Cliffs, but I'm very likely just gonna fetch into a Blood Crypt for the Prosper deck. You have to choose your battles, whether it makes sense to play certain cards on the first turn. Okay, yeah, so obviously I like to play Triumphs first if I can fetch into them. In this case, I play Steam Vents tapped, because if I decide to fetch something later, it's fine. I could probably look up the remaining dual land in the deck, the Volcanic Island. Okay, so in this case, I'm not actually going to drop the Cinderglade. I'm going to do it later. But what I want to do is I want to power out very quickly the not Ragged Dragon, but the Wirewood Channeler, which is your version of Priest of Titania. but slightly worse because the mana cost, but I have 4 mana turn 2, so why not? Alright, in this case, it looks like the best option would have to be Llanowar Elves. Play the Blackleaf Cliffs. And in a bracket 4, bracket 3 deck, I'm not exactly worried about playing Mox Opal early. I can probably play it later when I actually have the requisite artifacts. Mox Opal is just a great card, but I'm not playing it now because technically if someone really wanted to kill the Mox Opal or destroy it, they could. Alright. Now I think it's probably fine for me to fetch for a Volcanic Island. Now, I could probably go for... Could I have gone for something else? I guess I could have gone for a Breeding Pool. But what I want to do is I actually want to leave a Fierce Guardianship mana just in case I can hardcast it for something that makes sense to counter. Okay. Now I can play the Cinder Glade because it's the only land that I have. I think for this I'm going to play the Rograkh Tree Speaker. Tap this for 2, 4, 5. Tap this for 5 mana. Oh, hold on. 2, 4. Okay, that's fine. Devoted Druid and Cryptolith Right. So Cryptolith Right, I mean, I'm not going to go into the deck tag for Ragged Dragon, but it's pretty awesome for Ragged Dragon. Just saying. You could read it later and figure it out why. Okay, good thing we didn't play Bitter Blossom because we need the mana. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. That we didn't get to draw a third land. Okay. Let's see. We have creatures. So bringing out the ready right now is not a great idea. 2, 3. Actually, it's not too bad. Well, no, it is because there's all the elves out. Okay, so nothing happens there. Okay, now we can play a creature and play Kydele. Slow start, but it's fine. Let's stay in Mire for a Taiga. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is fine. We're gonna -2 on Vivian. Whenever you next cast a creature spell, insert your library for a creature card with lesser mana value put on the battlefield and shuffle. So can we play this right? So -2. And I'll tap 2. A 3, 4. Can Jiraga? Oh, okay. On its own, it can already tap for 2 green. Oh, wait, hold on. So right now it's just a 1/1. We need to give it level 1. Wait, I forgot. Does it already start with level 1? Wow, I don't remember. Oh wait, no, yeah, it is already just a 1/1, so I have to level it up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's fine. So 3, untap this thing. 4, We -2 on Vivian. Let's search out a card. And it's probably okay. Gotta be less than 4, so I need to get something that's worth 3. Yeah, sure, more mana. Elvish Archdruid comes out. Level up. So it's 3, 4. Level up. Okay, now I can attack for 3 mana. I don't think we'd like that there's other elves on the battlefield. Actually, it's going to be, oh, not 3 mana, 3 power because of Ragadraga, +1, that's actually 4 power. So 4 there. That gets untapped. Oh yeah, Kydele Tech also gives Ragadraga the bonus, so he's actually a 6/6 right now, which is pretty awesome. Okay. And if you're just joining us now, the stream earlier, we did ultra highlights on the most recently completed cards, Thrasios, Triton Hero, and Rograkh, son of Rohgahh, in the style of the anime Chainsaw Man. Really cool. Makima and Denji. Then we did deck tech on Kydele and Alena, which we're playing now. So enjoy the show. Thanks for stopping by. Two, three, four, five. Play Maryland. Pretty cool. And you know, it's fine to target the elf player because I want to get more elves. Take that elf. Yep. So that side, that's fine. Oh, those are good ones to exile. Awesome. And yeah, we're doing playtesting right now. We call it, I call it self-play testing, because that's essentially what this is. Test out your decks to see how well they play against each other. Assign some values and understand percentage win rates while you're doing that. Okay, cool. Yep, that's essentially what the deck does. Gets out a lot of mana. So Kydele and Alena, if you recall, Kydele taps are colorless. I just brainstormed. Kydele then can generate 3 + 1 mana for the draw that I had originally. So brainstorm for 3, 1 for the normal draw. That gives me 4 colorless mana, which I then used with 1 red to play out Alena. So in that 5th turn, I actually played out 9 mana, which is kind of insane. I didn't even have mana rocks for that. Okay. And really what we're trying to do is highlight Kydele and Alena, but it turns out the elf deck is starting to overpower us and it's probably going to win, so we're probably going to need to go to game 2. Rograkh Warcaller is on the Maryland side, so that's fine. Oh man, What is gonna happen here? There's some shenanigans about to happen. Oh, I forgot. Vivian allows me to look at the top card of my library and can cast creature spells from the top of my library. Let's see that. No Mage Shepherd. I don't really need to do that right now. Maybe I do. I'll do that. Let me see. Oh, I guess first of all I should create a beast creature. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. They can. This guy can't attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 6, plus 6. And then with the plus 2, that's 8. So a lot of damage about to come people's way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, Devoted Druid. I could take advantage of Devoted Druid. The untapping ability. It's pretty awesome. Okay. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. Oh, I need one more mana. God damn it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. Create a hoof behemoth. I could actually just kill one person probably. That's okay. The elf player doesn't like the other elf players, so I think we're gonna have to finish off the elf player. The Maryland deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 7. Plus 7, plus 7, plus 2, plus 2 because of Ragged Dragon, that's 9. Plus 9, plus 9 total. So. Yeah, and the only reason why the extra plus 2 is happening is because Ragged Dragon benefits, or every creature benefit off a Crypto Left Right. Ragged Dragon gives the creatures you control the ability to produce mana, which gives a plus 2, plus 2. So these are the ones attacking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 7, 9. So this is 14, plus 9, 23, plus 14. Okay, plus 11, 25, plus 13, 25 positions, 38, 38 this way, and this is 8 plus, oh, 8, 9, plus 12. 9 plus 12. 21. Okay, so Maryland player is dead. And this side is 21 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15. That's okay. Rograkh completely gone. Okay, now what I should do is, because I still have plus 9, plus 9, I'm gonna untap Devoted Druid, because I'm probably gonna not really need her anymore. So now it's 9, 10, minus 2, 8. So I could actually generate 8 mana if I wanted to. Yeah, I'll just generate 8 mana, no big deal. Play out for Elise. And for the sake of protecting both Planeswalkers, I'm gonna +2 to get myself an Elf Druid. And then Devoted Druid is gonna die at the end of turn because of state-based effects and no longer having the buff. Okay, that's cool. So unfortunately, I think at this point I'm going to have to play the Never Knows Disc that was exiled. Good thing I didn't play the Mox Opal. But the bad thing about having artifact lands is after I activate Never Knows Disc, I have to destroy my Great Furnace. Is there a way, potentially, for the Kydele deck to win? I don't know, we'll see. Oh yeah, we brainstormed that, we knew what was coming. There's a lot of opportunity here to do certain things. I think I'm gonna play the Stomping Ground untapped. Brainstorm. Oh, Fierce Guardianship. I guess I could have counted the Never Knows Disc. I didn't though. Because it could help me. It could help me out. What do I want to do though? 10 mana for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's fine. I think what I'll do is I'll generate 4 mana. Mana. 4, 5, 6. Nessian Boar. Mark that for 10 red. Guess I still have a colorless left. 10 red. 10 red. 10 red and a colorless. Use the mana counter. I don't really want to waste Sensei's Divine Top, but maybe I will. 1 for Sensei's Divine Top. 10 red. Okay, 10 red, and then we'll turn that one of the reds into blue. What I need, I think, to win is some untap effect. So first we're going to play this spell. And I think the right call to return a non-land permanent has to be the Never Knows Disc. Okay, and then we're gonna play the Aftermath side. 1, 2, for the blue and then another blue. So it's 6 mana to have. Oh man, actually that was probably a bad call. We'll see. Shuffle. Yeah, because now the elf player gets to draw 7 cards. I only have like 2 red mana left. Yep, it's not good enough. 2, 3, 4. Okay, use one of the reds. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much game over. Okay. I love Dionys. Great card. Two green. Bring this guy out. And tap it, put a counter on it. This is just gross. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 green. Untap. Well, two green left. Did I play a land? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I didn't. Now play a land. yeah, it's GG's. GG's. Turn 6, Ragged Dragon, Elves. Kills everyone. Million mana, million pumps. Everything's good. Kill with 1,000,000 damage, basically. Okay. So, what do I do with all this? Just want to show something kind of cool. I put together a deck ranking list so I can actually update this and look at win rates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update that Ragged Dragon won against these other decks. Won against that deck, and then the Kydele deck did not. I mean, it performed, but it didn't perform well. Kydele. And we also have Prosper. Okay. Prosper. Kydele did not win that one. Ragged Dragon did. Maryland, Prosper, Kydele. Okay. Prosper, Kydele. Okay, so win rate percentage, at least historically, what's been happening. Maryland is my newest deck. It only wins about 1/3 of the time. Still needs some tweaks. Then we have Prosper, has a 33.8% chance of winning. My Kydele deck, 36.6, so it should usually win higher. And then Ragged Dragon has a 31.2 chance to win. So yeah, I tabulate all that, make it look, just, you know, it depends on how the deck plays. I mean, is it worth building these decks? You know, how do you play test? I guess that's a question you have to ask yourself if you don't quite have the folks to play with immediately. But that's one way I do it. I think it's fine. I think it's cool. We still want to playtest Kydele just for the hell of it. We can continue Maryland because I want to make sure I update my table. And then just choose 2 other different decks. My last created deck was Toph, so I could continue trying to playtest that. And then what we do want is another deck, just to give it some variety, maybe some off-color ones. Well, I guess we have all the colors. Maybe this time. Soulfem. Let's give that a go. Soulfem's fun. Oh wait, you know what? I played Soulfem last stream. I played something else. Soulfem's also become one of my favorite decks. Maybe I have a lot of favorite decks. It sounds kind of crazy. Bruna's fine. We'll play Bruna. I like Toph's hand. I think I need to mulligan Kydele. It was fine, but the mana kind of sucks. Damn it. Okay, you know what? We'll deal with that one. That's fine. Yep. Go from there. Yeah, I had to play the Frontier Bill Black first. Just the natural play. Enlightened Tutor for a Soul Ring. How many people turn 1 Enlightened Tutor for a Soul Ring? I mean, that's usually my play. Or if it's the right one, I'd probably end up Enlightened Tutor for a land tax if I didn't have the mana, or the mana base. You know what? I think I might actually do Simic Growth Chamber on this. Sucks. Ah, damn it. Should have waited on the Ancient Tomb. So this seems kind of lame, but I think I'm going to waste the Dark Ritual to play out an Urban Evolution. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I mean, most of the time, I think people want to search out Soul Rings early, if they can. Trinket Mage, Enlightened Tutor, Gamble, whatever. Right now, Kydele Alena seems harmless, but it can get really synergistic really fast. Damn it. You know what, it's fine. We're gonna sack Urn of Godfire to get the Great Henge from the graveyard to the battlefield. there's no need to actually play Toph right now. 2, 4, 5. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. I think that card is just freaking awesome. And get some extra counter, get the draw card. I guess it's a good thing to always wait before you play a land if you have some sort of draw effect. You might play a better land is the point. Okay, really quick. Mu Yanling. I'm fixing to replace her. I think Biden of Thassa is just purely better. Okay, 2. 3, 4, 5. I think it's better to hit the top player. Yeah, that kind of sucks. That's fine. Alright, I think we can get Bruna out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a lot of really cool cards in this right now. But Alena is probably going to have to come out. And I can only tap for 1, unfortunately, with Kydele. Man, Avatar did definitely come out with some really good stuff. Bruna is always a problem. We don't know what's in their hand. 7, 6. I think it's probably best to hit the Maryland player. Ooh, this is cool. Okay. So what we want, I think, 2, 4, 5. Oh, it's floating. Haven't played a land yet. 1, 2, 3. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then top. Oh, Earth Gen 3, I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus the 1 counter. Yeah, 3 plus the 1 counter. Then we have top coming in, drawing a card, plus another counter. Not play a land yet. Do I care about other artifacts later on? I think I do. Maybe even enchantments. So I'm gonna lose some life there. But I'm a +2, not discard a card because that's fine. And then we'll trigger Toph. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's cool. So Flagstones of Trocare, I put that in the Toph deck because I'm always gonna. I have an option to either block with it or maybe sacrifice it later to something else, like Zern Orb, and then I can just net an additional Plains card and put it directly in play, which is pretty freaking awesome if you ask me. The Maryland deck is a little bit slow for some reason. But that's fine. 2, 3, 4. Ooh. And he joins up. It's actually pretty freaking awesome. God damn it. God damn it. I only have 2 elves. Fuck. How else can I benefit from this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mana like this. Okay, I guess I could play Horn of Greed at least. Shit. Another reason why you don't have to play lands immediately. That's fine. Horn of Greed's out, that's cool. I think Bruno's gonna want to smack the top player. This is not gonna be fun what's about to happen. Dang it. Okay, you know what, it's fine. We will do the thing. 2, 3, 4. Tap mana. 1, 2, 3. It's Not Fun by Cataclysm. It's in the deck for a good reason. So 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 3 mana. And various colors floating. Cataclysm happens. I think I'm actually gonna have Nykthos around. Actually, it's fine if I do this. Okay, actually we need to redo that. There's a better play. Okay, first. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Cataclysm. These go. Okay, that's cool. Then we swing in. Man, Cataclysm's such a stupid card. It's so good. Swinging in. Okay. So... I think Planeswalkers gets affected by Cataclysm. I think we drew... Or we didn't draw a card. We need lands 1, 2, 3... Yeah, we didn't draw a card. Enchantment... Is this an enchantment? It is an enchantment. Enchantment artifact. Lands. Okay. Flagstones of Trocare came in clutch. Naturally, it's meant to be the top player that gets attacked by Bruno. So 5, 8, 8 damage. And again, 8 life. Okay. Yeah, that's why Bruno's disgusting. But we have a red elemental blast that I think we can use. I'm gonna do it now before there's counter magic. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay, now I can definitely kill off an artifact. 2, 4, 5. Okay, very cool. Blue. Photo blue. Like this. 2. It's 2 blue. 2, 3, 5. Yeah, Muyan Ling, I inherently I didn't really like it, but it was a filler that needed to be thrown in for the Maryland deck. And we are missing a land drop to be effective this turn. Well, that's fine. Probably not gonna block, so I need to attack. And Ashaya is so good. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. Ashaya's power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control. So Toph allows my non-token artifacts to also be lands, which a Shia will also counts. And then it counts the creatures as land, so it's actually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 11, oh, it's a 12, 12. Oh, it is non-token figures. Shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's a 10, 10. Okay, spread the love. Do 12 over here. There, and then 10 here. I mean, I would attack into this player too, but it's not really worth it. Actually, maybe it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put the saplings in, and then the 10 over here. Two, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 2 cards. Discard 2. Coat of Arms, one of my favorite cards. 9 minus 3 is 6. 1. 8. Boomy. Damn it. So good. No flying. Crew. 3 damage. Okay. Draw a card. That blows. Oh man, this is gonna be nasty. This is gonna be nasty. Okay. First, we attack. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Just kill Bruna. 7 over here. And do the thing. Do the very cool thing of destroying everything. All non-land permanents. And the Shaya makes creatures lands to... Yep. Hour of Revelation. Pretty freaking sweet. Yep, that's game over pretty much. Let's see this. Man, and I did want... to play out Shalai and Halar. Okay, that's fine. We'll put 2 more counters on him. Yeah, there's no going back. It's all done. Man, that Cataclysm really did a number. Colorless left.
Let's kick it.
Green and colorless. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Oh, it's not him. Okay, so 1, 2. $14, 19, or 14, 19 plus 7, 26. Six plus 4, 30, 7. Right. Yep. Game over. That was all right. Toph won that battle. So we need to update the chart. Oh damn. I closed out the chart. That's fine. We'll just update it later. But yeah, that was 2 games and we're done. So we did some playtesting. Kydele didn't quite perform, which was okay. We had the other decks perform really well, so that was fun. Toph did this last game, and the previous one to that was Ragged Draga. Alright. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up the stream. It is almost 11 p.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time. Gotta get all the things that need to get done before heading to bed. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. Let's do the closeout now. Okay, let's wrap it up. The first part of the stream, we did something cool, as our usual thing to do, which was to highlight the altered art cards from Sublime MTG Alters. We have Thrasios, Triton Hero, altered in the with the intent to accent the foils, the foil nature of the card itself, using the character Makima from Chainsaw Man, and then Rograkh, son of Rohgahh, and the same theme, instead using Denji from Chainsaw Man altered onto the card. So that's a highlight there. The client is going to receive this in the mail. I think he's going to enjoy it. It's awesome. And then we did our deck tech, talking about these two partner commanders, which are not bracket 5 like the CDH cards that we just painted on. Instead, this is a bracket 4 deck. Then we did some playtesting at the end for that deck online using our usual method of playtesting, showing 4 different Moxfield panels, and we can just playtest and see how those do well against each other. Kydele and Alena did not do exactly what I know the deck is capable of. Instead, we had other decks that I've designed end up winning. So we're gonna update the tables there with that. If you enjoyed the content, thank you for watching. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun. Check out the links from the chat, where you could check out some of my other stuff, and then look at the deck lists for the decks that I've built. So with that, you all have a great night, and always enjoy the game of Magic. Connect with your fellow friends and family, military members across the globe, and enjoy the game the way you want to enjoy it. It could be through altars. Reach out. Thanks.